Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 422. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
You have always been my safe hope.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero. Yo, yo, yo. Adam Vale.
You can hear me?
There you are.
My bad. Yo, yo, yo.
All right, Adam Vale.
Yeah, how you doing?
Brett Murdoch.
What's up, people?
And Brian Manjoma.
What up?
All right. First of all, despite what Chat GTP says, I'm actually very much alive. I'm actually alive.
Yo, man, you living? You
Yes,
living? I'm
what?
not hosting the show.
What's a chat G? What?
The AI said totally.
Yeah. Okay, so for you guys who don't know, one of my friends decided to ask Chat GTP about Tony Polanco, and it said Tony Polanco was a gaming journalist who passed away in 2020. And 2021, and also was another one where I died in 2018. You know,
Dress that for respects.
yeah, exactly.
That happened. You're not the only one. That other what's his name? The MMA reporter. There's an MMA reporter. Same thing. They said he was dead, and the dude was at the Survivor's Elimination Chamber yesterday.
Yeah. Matter of fact, go ahead, Brett. I'll gotta pull this up.
I bet it's Twitter haters.
Maybe. But
Somebody
How
wishes you dead.
does it obtain that
Somebody's like,
information? How does it get that?
from the internet, man. That's how it works. It's just
yeah.
If I type in your name, it doesn't come up as you're dead. So it's not the first
you
thing.
have to go to Chat GTP. You know.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. They're not getting it from the internet.
That is where it's pulling it from.
It is getting it from the internet.
Chat GTP is basically a chatbot plugged into a search engine. That's all it is.
Yeah, which search
and the
engine
thing,
then? Because when I type you in, it doesn't come up as deceased.
What it's doing.
Yeah, go ahead.
What it also is doing in Chat GPT is it's also outdated search data.
It's
right?
from 2021.
That's what Carlos
yeah.
said. For 2021, and also it's not differentiating multiple versions of Tony Polanco.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. But it's like if it's a journalist, I mean, what's the chances?
So let me read this. You guys are going to laugh.
All right.
Tony Polanco was a video game journalist and content creator who passed away on April 2021. He was a longtime writer and editor at the gaming website The Coalition and contributed to several other publications in the gaming industry. He was also the co-host of the Throwdown Show, a popular video game podcast. Polanco was known for his passionate and insightful coverage of the gaming industry, as well as his love for gaming history and culture. He was particularly interested in issues of representation and diversity in gaming, and was a strong advocate for the inclusion of underrepresented voices in the industry.
Oh, I don't know that dude.
Yeah, I don't know who the fuck that is either. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Polanco's contributions to the gaming community were widely recognized, and he was a beloved figure among his peers and fans. That's true. People like me. His passing, and this is the future, right? His passing was a great loss to the gaming industry, and he will be remembered for his passion, enthusiasm, and dedication to the medium. Oh my God, man!
We could just put that aside, and it's when you actually do kick the bucket, we just roll that out because.
Here's another one. Somebody else independently also asked it. Hey, who is Tony Polanco? To Chat GDP. Tony Polanco was an American journalist, writer, and editor who rose to prominence in the 2000s as a technology and entertainment journalist. He was the founder and former editor-in-chief of Remote Control Magazine, a publication,
I do remember that.
A publication dedicated to the world of video game culture and history. He was also a contributing writer and editor at PlayStation Magazine, Wired, PC Gamer, and other publications. Polanco had a strong presence in the game journalism industry, often appearing as a panelist or host at numerous video game events and conventions. He passed away in 2018.
I do remember that.
I've never been to any of those. I've never been for any of these publications.
I remember that.
And I'm also not dead, you know?
Hey, did you found a company without knowing it?
I guess I did.
Apparently.
And so I'm like, am I Bruce Willis?
Dude, you need to get your money.
Yeah. Am I Bruce Willis from The Sixth Sense, you know?
I just did Who is Torrance Davis. I don't know if you guys are interested for that.
Let's hear it.
Torrance Davis is a video game journalist and host of
it's already fucked up.
It's already fucked up. Website and YouTube channel. He has been active in the video game industry for over a decade and has covered a wide range of topics related to gaming, including news, reviews, previews, and interviews. He's also known for his appearances on podcasts and live streams, where he discusses the latest developments in the gaming world. Davis has built a reputation for an insightful commentary and his ability to engage with his audience, making him a respectful voice in the gaming community. Interesting.
Very interesting.
That is like getting your fortune read from one of those people where it's like a generic term. It's all generic. It's nothing.
Jagon.
Who is Jagon? Yeah,
it's all generic, right? It's like, this, like it doesn't say any specifics, but it fits,
Yeah, very interesting, man. All right, without further ado, let's get into the questions. So yeah, I'm still alive, people. Hold on, real quick. Let me check the chat. Who's in it? We got Bliss in house. C. Iverson. Barry Burton in here. Good stuff.
Barry Burton.
Yeah. All right, man. Question from Jay Shep starting us off tonight. All right. With rumors of Xbox no longer selling physical copies of its games in Brazil, and that Redfall, quote unquote, physical copies will only have download codes, can we presume this is the future that Xbox is pushing for? Here's the interesting part. Try to answer the question without falling back on this is where the industry is headed. Try to keep the answer certain Xbox. First of all, we can't do that. It's impossible.
But they're not the first. Nintendo did that. There's so many games that you can now go buy and you just get a code inside. I
just want to make that up front. We can't uncouple that because that's where the industry is going. But we will stick with Xbox because this is something we've been saying forever, right? They are a software manufacturer, so it's in their best interest to go all digital. So I think, they will go, among the big three, because obviously there's other examples of companies that have already gone all digital. But with the big three, I think they will be the first to go completely 100% digital before Sony and before Nintendo.
Think of like Activision did it, Bethesda. Remember when they were still doing it for the PC?
Yeah, but we're talking about we're talking about the console manufacturers.
It's not like they're the first to ever go in that road.
Yeah,
it's.
Oh, you're right. If you're going to go in general, you're right. Google did it. Apple did it.
So we knew eventually.
Google did it. Apple did it. Gaikai. They were all a whole digital platform. And
PC's effectively all digital now too.
Yeah, but PC's all digital. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my point. I'm just trying to say you can't just separate one company. Like everybody has been and is doing it. So you can't separate the two at all. You know?
It's to be honest, but again, like Tony said, like we've been saying, again, Microsoft really doesn't want to sell you actual products. They want to sell you just the software, and that's it. And they've been doing that for years. Yep. They've been wanting to do that. Whenever you remember when they would put a bunch of a DRM on all of their old stuff because they didn't want you to own it. So. There you go. And this is before TV. This is all like versions of Microsoft Word and all that other stuff. They had all this stuff that used to call home. Apple, I think that's just the way they wanted to be. And to be honest, I would think they would want to get out of the hardware industry in general. If they could sell you Xbox anywhere, on your PC, on your TV, which they're currently doing, on other platforms like your PlayStations, if they could do all of that, they would be much happier doing that because they wouldn't have to invest in all the other infrastructure that has to happen with creating hardware.
Yeah.
So, but on the other side, they keep making these surfaces, and that's the other thing.
Yeah, that's they do manufacture that.
They do make these laptops and these tablets, and I always thought if any of their hardware was to stop that, besides the Zune, I would think those, but no, they keep doing.
It's funny because the Surface actually is doing quite well.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They just keep making them.
I think the reason why they haven't stopped doing it is because it's pretty damn good.
It's good
computer.
I would say pretty damn good, but it's pretty good. I've had to read the last two. They're pretty good. Yeah.
I would say this. Like this is coming off from the artist side of things. The Surface is probably one of the better of the artist related devices. Oh. Devices that allow you to do art on them, next to those Wacom tablets, and they cost half the amount of money to get one of those. So.
I was going to ask you a tech question, but I can't do that. I'll ask you
can't ask me a tech question?
Yeah, because remember, I got to keep the line separated there, but I do want to ask you something. Yeah. Just remind me, I want to ask you something.
Okay, cool.
What was that? Yeah, go ahead.
After the question, can I provide off-topic commentary real quick after the question?
Did we answer the? I mean, I think we answered the question. Again, you can't just go, okay, Xbox. Everybody's doing this, right? But yeah, I do believe if any of the big three, Xbox will be the first one to go all digital. I do believe that. You know,
it's in the car. It was in the cards in general. I definitely think that they were already from the get go. They always they would prefer you just to be buying their software and no other portions to it. If they could figure out if back in the day they could get it to you, they just get you the software. They would just want you to get that. So
remember, they were already even on the console. They were already for the early days of the 360. Trying to get day one releases through digital purchases. Remember, they kept making those bigger hard drives for a reason, because they wanted to get there and they couldn't wait until the next gen when they just here's a store, same day releases. We're done with this whole thing, because they had where it was like a week delay. They were that close. It was like, all right, if you could wait a week, you can get it digitally instead of having to go to stores.
What was let's broaden it a little bit. What was the first platform that just had all digital games? I'm talking about anything. Steam was the first one?
15 years ago, bro. 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Shit, 20 some odd years ago. I walked into Best Buy when I was less than 18. I'll let y'all do the math on that one. When I was less than 18, bought a computer game, opened the box, got a Steam code, and went, the fuck is this? Why'd I even bother coming in here?
Yeah,
I had that moment over 20 years ago, man.
Yeah, let's go for actual I'm obviously I'm not going to discount. I'm just saying, was that the first officially?
No, what was it? What was that Sony portable device? Not the PSP. There was that other one.
PSP Go.
PSP Go.
PSP Go.
Wasn't that all digital? They didn't make cards for that.
There was
yeah, that was all. It was all digital, but at the same time, were they the first? I don't think so.
I don't know any other big one that did that, because all the Game Boys always had
from the big console makers. Yeah, the PSP Go was the first all digital, exclusively digital.
Oh yeah, for the console guys for sure.
Yeah. I guess
I did ask gaming platforms in general, but yeah, for consoles, you're right. It was a handheld, but yeah, I agree with that. Remember that was controversial back then.
Yeah, I avoided it.
Yeah, it was controversial.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I got another one.
What's up?
Oh,
Mobile.
I mean, yeah, for obvious reasons, right? Yeah.
Mobile for obvious reasons,
for sure. Yeah,
that was after.
Yeah.
Yo, man, Snake was all digital.
Yeah. Yo, J-Shep, I think I asked you this before. How, you don't have to say it if you don't want, but how old are you again? Because, he says he didn't know where he was.
Your guys' age.
He can't. Is he? Oh shit.
I'm pretty sure he is.
How old is he?
Well, around our age. Well, the reason I asked is because of the next question. Oh, by the way, are we satisfied with the answers? Listen. Jay Shep is in the chat room. He liked our answers, so that's what makes me happy.
Can I throw something on that?
Well, first, Carlos. Oh wait, you're on topic, so you go first, and then Carlos goes because I know he's going to go.
And by the way, Jay Shep is Brett's age.
Okay.
Mystery age.
Okay, Brett, you first.
I just want to throw in there because, when people talk about everybody and their mother seems surprised that Game Pass cannibalized game sales. So, I'm going to throw this out there at the risk of being kind of obvious. When Microsoft says they're trying to become a software sales company, to put that into perspective, almost no game company manufacturer ever has made money on hardware, right? Hardware is not where
unless you're Sony.
Get their nut. And they don't make that much on hardware.
Or
they do actually. PlayStation's their biggest seller, of the whole company.
No, I know that.
Software makes a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but hardware is a big chunk of their things. Generally, you are correct, but with Sony, if they weren't selling PlayStation, the companies would be screwed.
I got to go with Manny here. Nintendo's two biggest selling consoles were
that's also true.
Refurbished parts type consoles.
Yeah, well, they're literally old technology. So yeah, they're just selling they're selling old technology to you, and and they're selling games overpriced.
Yeah. All right. So I guess just Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, they make money off of consoles. Anyway, Brett, continue.
I mean, here's the thing. Like
that was it.
Okay.
And all of this, the thing about it is that it also comes about from the plain fact that I think Microsoft needed to went into their own space in order to sort of differentiate themselves from the rest of the industry, because they're obviously not able to compete on the same level as the Nintendos and the Sonys at this point. So how do you do that? You leverage your strength. And what is that strength? Providing software. Now the bigger thing is, now they need to have that software that will attract people and to invest in this new platform.
Yeah. All right. Oh, by the way, Jay Shep says he was poor most of his life, or half his life, as he's kind of new to gaming in some respects. That makes a lot of sense, because there's some questions like the next one I'm like, interesting. Hold on a second. Well, like, you should know the answers to that. But we'll get into it because some people may not know. Carlos, what's your diversionary question?
It's not a question. It's more of a statement. Okay. I did, this whole rabbit hole that Tony's been mentioning with ChatGPT. It made me curious and try to search all of our names on there, just out of curiosity. Adam Vale is not a well-known figure, so Adam is off the grid.
Okay.
Brian Manjoma is not a well-known figure, so he's off the grid.
That's the goal, man. That is the goal.
Brett Murdoch is apparently a lawyer and politician from California.
Oh, shit. I knew it. Look at this motherfucker having secrets,
Chris Seeley is a video game designer, producer, and director. He is known for... I was like, wait, what? Chris has done all this? Because, I mean, the first part kind of made sense.
That fucking computer ratted me out.
He's busy.
The motherfuckers got secret lives, man.
Always so busy.
Yeah.
So weirdly, there's another Chris Seeley that worked in the video game industry, and then I searched myself, and it said there's too many. Like I had to be more specific, and then I put software developer, and then it just busted out a whole bunch of people that wasn't me. And then the last one was the interesting one, Emilio Lopez, and it said, "Oh, can you be more specific on Emilio Lopez?" And I thought this was really specific. I put comic book artist. And then it threw out three descriptions of people and said, "Oh, maybe one of them fits." So let me know which one fits, if at all. Number 1, Emilio Lopez, a comic book artist who has worked for various publishers, including DC Comics, Marvel Comics, and Image Comics. He has illustrated a various of titles, including Batgirl, Captain Marvel, and the Avengers. Number 2. Emilio Lopez, a Mexican-American comic book artist.
Mexican-Americans.
That throws it off the scent right away, but it said this person has worked for Marvel Comics, Zenescope Entertainment, and other publishers. He's worked on Amazing Spider-Man, Grim Fairy Tales, and Robin Hood. And then the third one, Emilio Lopez, a Spanish comic book artist who has worked on a number of titles, including Army of Darkness, Batman, and Star Trek. He's also the co-creator of the series Arcania, and was published by Image Comics. Does any of them fit?
I say the first one.
Yo, you motherfuckers leading some interesting lives, man. But then again, at least you all are alive,
Oh, Manny, we can't hear you.
The first one is definitely the closest.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you never worked on Captain Marvel, right?
Actually, I did work on
Captain
Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay.
I did some cover color for that. So yeah, all of those things sort of help, but I never actually drew a lot of those things. My comic drawing stuff is a little bit like it's not a lot. The second one, I did work at Zenescope as well. So they're slightly true, but here, yeah, they're all slightly true except for certain things in there.
So there we go. We're fit. Mostly
now I want to search out these motherfuckers and be like, "Hey, what's up, man?
Hey,
how's it going?
Hey, I got to bump in my prestige. I'm a politician now.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna say later. I wonder if it does anything. Like, I have to always put tattoo after my name to get any kind of thing. I'm very separated from the other Brett Murdochs, apparently.
That's funny.
You know, it'd be hilarious if you did the search of that politician Brett Murdoch, and it looks literally just like you.
No, he's some dude in Florida, I think it is.
Yeah, and he looks exactly like you. He just
No.
and it just looks like you wearing a suit, you know, with like different hair.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Let's move on. Second question, also from Jay Shep. If a console game is digital only, should it cost $70? Part of the benefit of physical games is being able to share, trade, and even resell your game. However, digital copies won't allow that without paying extra for a family plan of some kind. Notice I said console games. PC game downloads can be found discounted 9 out of 10 times, unlike new releases of console downloads. All right, the question you asked, we've been asking this for the past 15 years because digital, like full digital games really became a thing during the PS3 era. And when that started happening, that we were like, wait, what the fuck? Why are these games costing as much as the physical ones, you know? And there's several reasons for that. The main one is, which isn't as important nowadays, but the main reason was back then they had to stay the same with brick and mortar, right? When that mattered. That was the thing. Now, that excuse is a little flimsy because
yes,
you don't really GameStop is the only thing, and we already know what's happening there. You know,
I mean, GameStop and whatever.
But my point is, like,
this
question, the industry has been asking it since 2006, basically. So like almost 20 years. You know,
dude, but we're also being like, we're asking this question, but then we're being like, but games have to be more expensive. They have to raise the $70 because they've got costs to cover. I don't get it, man.
But by that token, shouldn't physical games cost even more then? You know what I'm saying? Like, by the way, Brad, I'm not defending this. I'm just saying, if that's the excuse they're using.
I mean, that's what a lot of people are saying. They're saying games should cost $70, maybe even more. And when you adjust for inflation, these companies are making even less money.
Yeah, I get that, but then how do you excuse digital games?
No, I'm not. I'm being sarcastic, man.
Okay, I'm saying. Excuse me. How do they justify it? You know,
I don't know. That's where I'm kind of like confused. They say like, well, we don't get physical games anymore, so it feels like games should be cheaper. But games should be more expensive because development costs have gone up. And I'm like, what? This is some double think shit, man.
The only excuse I could find for any of that is because they still do make physical. The day they completely stop, they have to stop using that excuse. The day that there is no physical.
But you know that the prices won't drop.
They won't.
They won't.
But you know that the prices won't drop because they've already established that the games are these prices. So initially, just like the comic book industry is, where they're selling you books that are literally the same amount of same amount on digital as they are, in stores. It's like because they don't want to cut into that business because it still makes them money. So, but the thing is that once all of that stuff is gone, and and digital stores are the place that you buy, or subscribe to get games or whatever like that, they're all going to remain the same prices.
Yeah, but
y'all can go back and throw down.
Because nobody ever gives you money back. They always want more. They never drop the price. The only time you get a price drop is if you get a sale, like maybe a year or two later.
Yeah, no, Brett, I already think I know what you're going to say. Throwdown has been on air for since 2012. We've been asking this question, and even when we were asking that question in 2012, that question had already been around for 6 years. So this is not a new thing,
I was gonna say, you can go back and check Throwdown history. I called this shit the very first time Sony said they were making a $70 game. I said, watch. This is going to become the industry standard. Go back and check the episodes.
Yeah, and we all agreed with you. We all agreed with you. J Shep goes, digital games cut out a lot of the middleman, so these companies are pretty much getting all their money, so there's no reason to charge that much for digital. Again, we've been saying this for almost 20 years now, bro. This has been the question since 2006,
I mean, I think a lot of the time it is actual costs, but I also think it's them bumping up their wallet.
Of course, because they know people are going to pay for it.
The only
thing I could think of is maybe that's a convenience tax, right? It's like
it's a convenience tax, like Ticketmaster, right?
Exactly.
And the other fact is that you can't buy digitally. They have the cornerstone of you getting those games. The only place you can buy Sony PlayStation games digitally is at Sony's site.
And they don't give sales the same way.
I mean, they give okay sales. It's not them. It's Nintendo that doesn't give any sales.
Well, no, like 9
They
times
want you
out
to
of
sign
10,
up for
though.
that weird, funky ticket service thing, whatever the hell.
No, dude,
that
nine
bullshit
times
Nintendo
out of 10,
service, yeah.
if you check the cost of a video game at GameStop versus on the PlayStation Store, 9 times out of 10 it's cheaper at PlayStation or at GameStop.
Yeah, Brett's
Well,
right
yeah,
about that.
because they have physical shelves that they need to stock back there, right? So
No, that should make it more expensive. They have physical stores,
No, I mean,
rent, employees.
when you want to move when you need to move things out, when you need to restock your shelves, they're gonna drop the prices on those things to get those things out, to get them out there so they can get the new stuff on there. So that's usually when you see those sort of purge sales happen. Because they want to they'll literally cut their loss on whatever stock they have and just throw it, essentially get it out of there so they can actually get some real shit in there, some new shit.
I mean, as somebody who worked for game stores for 7 years, I've never seen that. And I worked for multiple.
Well, I mean, why do you think sales come from though?
You're not trying to push out.
It's not like you're trying to why else would you put something on sale unless you want to keep it on the shelf perpetually?
Because it's valued lower.
I think
The value is determined.
I think it's also if you're filling up your shelves, you would theoretically want to essentially have a clearance or some sort of sale so that you can.
You're thinking big box, man. You're thinking big box. Like places like GameStop, they don't work that way. They don't want to clear their shelves of old games because then they don't have the old games for you to buy. There's a master equation that comes down the pipes about every 6 months or so, where they value games based on supply and demand, and then they pump it out to each store and say a used copy is worth this. But like, you're not trying to it's not sales. That's what I'm saying. It's not that things are going on sales. Like, yeah, if you're doing a sale, sure, you're generally trying to clear your shelf to roll over for the next time. But like in these game stores, you are just slowly lowering the price based on demand. That's why some of these fucking games like Final Fantasy VI still $45 because people are still willing to pay $45 for them. But it's very, very, very common to see a game drop in value, but see it holding steady in a closed environment like a digital storefront. And it's just that people aren't willing to pay that on average, and that's where they need to sell. Like, they've got overhead, they've got employees, they need to make some money, so they need to be rolling through their stock, at a certain rate. Absolutely. But it's still based on what people are generally willing to pay. Where on digital, you could just fucking leave it up there and be like, oh, it's still $60. Fuck yourself.
But wouldn't it also with a store obviously with a place like GameStop, it's like also they're also kind of like a they are pretty much a pawn shop.
Yeah, right? They value the general market value of the game and then cut it by 50%. I think is the basic part of the equation, and then they adjust for how in demand these games are when checked against their sales database. But generally speaking, you're going to get between 25 and 50% of what they think the game is worth. And that's generally you take a $60 game, you bring it back in, back in the day, they would sell it for about $50, 45. They drop it down $10 from a new game or so. And so, you're still going to get $20 for that game. That's still, brand fucking spanking new. If you could get a game, play it within about 2, 3, 4 weeks, get it back up to the store, you could get half price for it.
Theoretically also, it's like if somebody buys the game and then sells it back, they could theoretically sell that. They're essentially getting full profit off of selling off that used game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then
that's what that whole the digital game was supposed to end.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Them not making money off of the resales of their titles.
And that's really what Nintendo was the worst offender. You go back in, Nintendo games never depreciate as far as Nintendo is concerned. They just fucking don't. They're like, our games are always worth full value, which is fucking bullshit. Which is why at a lot of these brick and mortar stores, a lot of their sales come from Nintendo products. because a lot of people try and stay out of Nintendo's digital storefront because it's fucking predatory, and they know it. They're going to pay 30% what they would, especially if they, recycle their games. They're going to, pay half to a quarter what they normally would going to brick and mortar stores. That's my one real concern about digital storefronts only.
Yeah, Adam, you gonna say something?
I remember I saw this whole report about just consumers and how they spend money and where they put value, and they did an example of like jeans. They're like, all right, here's a pair of jeans, it's $20. Like, okay, and then they're like, here's a big name brand pair of jeans, Tommy Hilfiger or whatever, and it's like $65. Which one should you buy? And the majority is like, well, I go with quality, so I would probably go with the $65. And it's like, okay, so then that's the whole thing. A lot of people associate a high price as quality. So when you hear these commercials and they start talking about, competitive pricing, it just means we're on par with the other dudes. So that way you don't think any less of us. Instead of people thinking, I was like, wow, I'm getting a good deal. Because if they think about if it's the same type of quality or whatever, like the thing with the jeans is that both jeans were made in the same factory. The $20 jeans were made in the same factory that the Tommy Hilfiger jeans were made. And it's the same and you're just paying for the name. But if they were to bump up their price to make that parity, then you can think that it's cheaper. Like the whole thing that we said with the dollar games and stuff like that. It's like, they must be garbage because it's so cheap. And it's like, well, they're cheap maybe because they have a bunch of microtransactions. There's other factors, but it doesn't matter. It's you associate as less as cheap. So whenever we hear any of these companies saying, all right, we're going to bump it to 60 and 70, it has to be assumed that the other ones are going to follow because no one wants to be regarded as the lower brand. No one, for some reason, people don't see it as like, well, that's a better deal. They don't think about the better deal. They just think, well, that's lesser. That's the lower end.
It's the perceived value of the higher price.
Yeah. It's like, well, I have to pay that. The Gucci. Why is it Gucci and all that stuff and Coach bags like $300-$400?
It's funny because you mentioned that. I had a friend who used to work at was a designer at the companies that would essentially make the patterns for the jeans and shirts that would be reused throughout all the different companies so that they could put their little brands on them.
Same.
So like, so like a lot of shirts, like at some point, let's say V-necks became the style, right? He would have designed the V-neck, one style of V-neck that every single one of these companies would use, and then maybe they just flap on a logo or put their little thing on, the little tag on there. Usually, it's the bigger, more expensive things that are actually more unique designs, as opposed to the lower, which would be considered the lower tier, which would be like the $60 and lower range.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to read something Blitz said earlier. And he's playing devil's advocate with this one, so just take that as it is. Maybe the cost of development is spread across physical and digital games, and with digital sales making up a bigger portion of sales these days, is what is keeping these games from being $80. That's a devil's advocate thing.
Yeah, well,
say that again.
Okay, maybe the cost of development is spread across physical games and digital sales, with digital sales making up a bigger portion of sales these days is what's keeping games from being $70 ? I'm just reading it as he said it. No editing.
No, I think that there's some truth to that. I mean, it's going to be spread across. It's going to be spread across everything. So, yeah, physical gaming can kind of be an albatross. But at the same time, even when it's not, do you think they're going to adjust for price?
No, because, and then, again, the other devil's advocate thing, people are saying, even though there is some truth to this too, you are actually paying about $120 per game when you factor in, like, special editions, DLC, all these other things. So you gotta factor in the season pass. Yeah. So you're actually paying about $130 for a game anyway.
I mean, that's kind of my point when people like. I guess I have no better way to say it than when people simp for PlayStation and they're like, "Well, games are actually cheaper nowadays than they used to be." Like, well, no, not really. I have to pay at least $60 for the base game. $30 for a season pass, and that doesn't even cover all the downloadable content anymore like it fucking used to. And the fact that I'm paying for it digitally and almost always paying full price for it. And they're making all of the money, don't have to, because normally a profit margin at a big box store is 50%, right? Like, take that into account for a second. Like, they were selling these games and making $30 profit margins per unit. And now they're selling them digitally and essentially making $100.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
They went from making $30 per unit to at least $90 per unit. And that's if there's no in-game purchases. That's just for the base game and the season pass. All the content that was
planned will still get their cut. Microsoft and them, they charge 30%.
No, I know. I'm saying, but before like, normally that $30 would then go down the line to be split up amongst the developers and, to be split up amongst everybody. But now going down that line, $90, right? So I get that prices have gone up, but their profit margins have gone up way more. And if you need proof, look at the fact that they're making record profit year after year after year, man. Like, you can look at the money going in, you can look at the money going out, or you can look at the reported profit.
Yeah.
All of it says the same story. We're making so much more money. So, like, why are people simping for PlayStation?
Why are people simping for anybody,
That's absolutely true. Well, I'll say I simp a little bit for Game Pass in the sense, like, I feel like it's a good deal, and I'll freely say that because I enjoy the hell out of it. And that's kind of what you do. You build goodwill and you build a product that people like, and they will unintentionally evangelize that shit.
That's why Netflix
tell me how you really around.
Yeah,
Netflix will always be around. There was an interview that I listened to last week with the head of HBO, and he was talking about how they're all playing catch up to Netflix. No matter what outlets say certain this and this and that, it's like Netflix is the mainstay. They've done their focus groups. People talk about certain things, the services that they can live without, and what have already hit the stapleton of like, no, this has to stay. And of course, it's your phone bill, your electric bill, and your one streaming service. Well, that's Netflix, because it's got a little bit of everything for everybody. It's got adult content, it's got documentaries, it's got kid movies. Yeah, Disney and this and that, but majority of adults see that it's mainly just a network for kids. So they were like, we're all playing catch up to Netflix. So don't let people fool you out. Let's say, oh, no, they're going to disappear. And then it's like, we're all playing catch up. Doesn't matter how good our shows are. We're always going to be second fiddle until we get to that. Oh, we're one of the mandatory services.
Yeah, it's all about being that zeitgeist.
They were first.
The zeitgeist platform. They've been around long enough to where streaming movies or series is essentially attributed to Netflix.
Yep.
And I think I've been saying this before. I think that's what Microsoft wants to become with the Xbox Game Pass, where they want to be the streaming or game platform or whatever digital game platform service.
Yeah, right.
The moment that they become, again, as we always say, the moment that they reach that point where they become that platform and they start making some legitimate money on it, that is when Sony's going to come along and be like, hey, by the way, we got this platform.
Yeah,
it's available everywhere.
Yeah, as soon as it's not devaluing their games, quote unquote. As soon as they see more money being made over there, they're like, "Oh, well, as long as it's making more money."
They only see that as a devalue in the sense that because they actually are their games are actually making those numbers, that money, as opposed to Microsoft, where it's all sort of nebulous as to how much those games are actually making. What's paying for them is the platform, and it's not really the actual game sales.
Yeah. I'm just pointing out, it's not about they don't want to cheapen their brand. It's that they don't want to make less money. And in my opinion, it's a very important distinction there.
Again, that's why they'll never be at the forefront of making that sort of decision.
See,
they want to make a safe bet as opposed to.
And that's the thing. Don't think. I mean, I would think if they had, out of those 3 tiers that they introduced, Sony with their pay tiers, if they had the highest end one and said, "Hey, this one comes with day one releases," the subs, I think, would be through the roof.
Oh yeah,
and they
absolutely.
would get that. They would get them. And even if they say, "All right, when is this game coming out?" The first game part is 6-7 months. Well, that's 6 or 7 months guaranteed that you're getting these people sub money, waiting for this game. And then once that comes out, it's still gonna have it. So like,
yeah, but I think they, again, I don't think they want to take a bet like that, because they're definitely sure that the games that they put out are going to make a certain amount of money as far as their budgeting and all that other stuff. So they're not gonna step out again. They're not gonna do anything more than just a toe dip. And if it's not gonna do it, they're really just about surefire deals, surefire things, as opposed to just like we're gonna go out in the field and just sort of let things happen. Microsoft has the capita to do something like that because there's so many arms of it that are making them the money. When you talk about the Sony situation, it's their gaming division that's the big tomato there. Their movie stuff is with the big releases like the Spider-Man movies and some of that stuff. They've had those big pumps to the shots to the arms of those industries, but they are nowhere making that amount of money. So I don't think they want to, dig into what is already surefirely making them money, by just going open field.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. Kishak. All right. We're completely changing topics now. Still about gaming, obviously. Why is Sony the only console manufacturer with a simple and consistent naming scheme for its main consoles? Why didn't the others do the same? So we've been talking about this forever, right? You have PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're probably getting a PlayStation 6. You know it's going to be called PlayStation 6. With Xbox, we don't know what the fuck it's going to be called. Nintendo, we don't know what the fuck's going to be called.
People like names, though. People like names. You see that with cars. It's been proven with the car industry, which is why they come up with all these crazy names for these things.
Yeah.
People just like to have something pizzazzy as opposed to just a number. We're seeing this now with movies that are trying to break away from the numbers, instead give it weird names.
They've done that for a while now. Where they've had sequels where it's not there.
But the point is like,
you go to the movies and you look at the awning and it still says Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, exactly. No, but obviously we don't know the answer to this. We're not behind the closed doors or whatever. But yeah, we have commented on the fact like Sony, what their next console is going to be called. There's no mystery to it. With Xbox, who knows?
Oh my God, it's going to be confusing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a name that involves an S or an X in it in some order.
Yeah, Xbox. Well, we don't know because Xbox One didn't have X originally, and then it did Xbox One X. Yeah,
it was known as the
360. It's getting
Durango.
Yeah, remember we thought it was going to be the 720. The next one. No.
Yeah, see,
then they called it
progressively worse.
Yeah, it is getting worse.
Think about it. Xbox 360, Xbox One.
Yeah, one.
Xbox One X, Xbox Series X.
Yes.
Hey, Brad, remember when we used to call the original Xbox One? And now we can't do that anymore?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like they're out there to intentionally fucking confuse you.
But at the same time, let's be real here. Together. Yeah, Microsoft in general has bad naming. I'm surprised they're calling these Surface laptops a consistent name. Not giving them a new name every fucking generation.
They have it. Yeah. Like what was it? They went to Windows? They skipped from what was it?
They didn't have Windows 9, did they? Yeah, they
just skipped the 10.
Yeah, like Windows 8, Windows 10. It's like wait, hold on a second. I know numbers. You're missing one.
And here's the irony: the code names for these projects are always dope as fuck. It's like Project Aurora.
Yeah, what was some of the Xbox names like
Scorpio, and then they released it. But Durango, I always remember because I was like, that's a much better name than 360. And then they now 360. It's like, damn, that would have been cool. The Durango.
I mean, it sounds like a car though.
Yeah, but there is a Durango car. That's probably why they
didn't want that name confusion.
Wasn't one of PlayStation's Oracle or something like that?
Yeah, and Nintendo had a Dolphin, didn't they?
They had the Nintendo Dolphin and the 64. The Dolphin was the 64.
It was? Okay. Yeah.
Or the 64 was the Dolphin. That was what it was. Yeah. In fact,
Chris, what was it? GameCube, right?
GameCube, yeah, you're right.
GameCube, yeah.
GameCube.
Ultra 64 was Nintendo 64.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yes, Ultra 64, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
And the Revolution was the Wii.
Yeah, so we're not going to speculate on why Sony does this. We just know the PlayStation 6 will be called the PlayStation 6.
Oh, I can tell you why Sony does it because at this point it seems boring. And it seems like it's less flashy and catchy. Yeah, people do generally like names better.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's built. Their brand is built around it. If they suddenly called it, PlayStation Horizons, you'd be like, wait, what? They go to 5 and then suddenly it's Horizon. That people would be thrown off by that.
Yeah.
They're expecting it to be the 6, so it has to be the 6 because it's kind of built into their brand.
Yeah. No, you're right. And again, it's that very consistent branding. What it's like. Oh, PlayStation 6. That's above the PlayStation 5. I get it. With Xbox, you're like, wait, what the fuck? What does that mean?
But I feel like when it came from Microsoft on those namings, they didn't choose something that felt like an upgrade to whatever it was before. It almost felt like they were going backwards as far as naming, right?
Yeah.
Xbox One. Wait, what? Didn't you have that?
See, Nintendo, you were almost there, man. Nintendo was almost there. You had the Nintendo Super Nintendo. Oh, Super. Okay, let's go. That makes sense. And even Nintendo 64 bits. Okay, yeah, we're there.
We get it.
And then GameCube, like, huh?
GameCube sounded like a generic, movie video game system. Like, honey, put away your GameCube.
Put away your GameCube.
I think it was more like they looked at it. It was like, what do we call this? Like, well, it looks like a cube and it plays games. GameCube.
By the way, Sony's not going to be consistent for the whole lot though. When they get to 9, they're going to be like, oh no,
my they won't do 9.
That's when they'll do an X.
No one does 9.
PlayStation X.
I feel like you know what it'll be. They'll slightly change it. It's kind of like what they did with Metal Gear Solid 5 when they turned it into a V. So it'll be Roman numerals.
Oh God.
They can't do X because they already have a PSX.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, let's see how many people actually get that one because I'm sure lots of people were not even around for that, which is terrifying.
By that time, they may just be able to be like, dude, what? We don't know what you're talking about.
What was it? It was the Nintendo Game Sphere. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Game Station.
All right.
They did.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, wasn't the PlayStation 9 orb that when it?
Yeah, it was like
an
orb.
Yeah, that commercial.
Yeah, remember that? It's coming, man.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Let's move on here. Mob hits, man. All right, first question. With Wild Hearts getting great reception and other EA titles doing good at the moment, is EA on the verge of a comeback?
No.
I'd like to refer
Depends
to
on what type of games you're into, if you consider that a comeback.
All right, we had a couple of people go up. Brian, you go first.
No, because this isn't made by EA. It's just published by EA. And to me, that's a difference. It's like saying there's a game made by the company and a game that's just published by said company. This game, it's the Neo guys, right? The Koei Tecmo, I think? No, Team Ninja, sorry. Is it Team Ninja? It's the Neo guys. It's those guys that made the game. So to me, it's all credits goes to those guys, not to EA. EA don't know what they're doing. That's why they haven't made a good game in, I don't know how long. What was the last good game that EA's made?
Dead Space remake.
I was about to say Dead Space.
That's actually one of their studios.
Dead Space
Motive Studio is
Burnout Paradise. Studio.
For like the last generation, they've not made any good games. So yeah, I don't think it's a comeback. I think it's
FIFA's
just riding heels. Really? Like how much people think about it?
It works. If you don't like the sport, you don't have to like the sport, but it really does work, or else nobody would play it and Konami would be king.
The thing about it is that they don't actually need to make a good soccer game. They could just put out soccer games and people will buy them.
No, if it's garbage, then no one will play it. They'll just play with
they'll still be playing. Man, this is the only game in town. All right.
If it's garbage, then they'll play what? Adam instead.
They would have played the Konami Revolution the PES, which is still around.
Brian, would you count? Thank you for.
And that's free to play.
Would you count Fallen Order? That's EA, and that was a good game.
You could count that, but again, it's just the one thing that. Again, I can't say that it's a comeback unless they've made like a good 3 or 4 like solid titles back to back.
Yeah, you're right.
Because again, like
the one
just the one
count. Yeah,
fine,
right,
you know. But it's like okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like okay, they've made them all, you know. Yeah. But again, it's just like again, I'm not saying that Wild Hearts is a bad game at all. Like, as far as I've heard, it's really good. It's up there with Monster Hunter in terms of it's really fun, addictive, and all sorts. So yeah, I cannot take that away. But I can't say, okay, it's a comeback. Because compare this to Capcom, right? When Capcom were going downhill, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, they brought out Monster Hunter, they brought out Resident Evil, they brought out like Street Fighter. Again, they just came out with like banger after banger after banger. Until we see that from EA, I don't think we can say that.
I'm going to agree with that. Well, until we get burned out again, you know. Yeah, I agree with that. And it may be a good Mass Effect, good Dragon Age, you know. Yeah. All right, good stuff. All right, moving on. Next question from Mob Hits. If you can make a compilation of your all-time favorite multiplayer maps, what would your list look like? This is for the multiplayer guys, I guess.
Multiplayer. My only answers are smartass because I don't play match-based things. But I'm going to say the Fallout 76 map.
Okay.
That is genuinely, that is like, or that or GTA.
Chris.
Yeah.
Well,
you played Halo multiplayer.
Yeah, Carlos can answer this too. You know.
I mean, there's like I really just played. I just remember Reach, and I just played like Firefight most of the time. But there's like Battle Creek. There's popular maps in Halo that people played over and over again. Or when you join a match, what was it? It was like fucking Powerhouse or something. I don't remember. It's been a long time. I just know there was a beach one in Reach. I used to play that over and over again in Firefight. That one I'd love to play. Hell, fuck! I just want to play Halo Reach. Now that just makes me want to play that.
There's just too many maps. I mean, there was one that comes to mind for Gears 2. That was the mansion. That was fun because they had different levels and I had the courtyard and had all that stuff. So there's all these different places you could hide. Call of Duty World War II had a cool one where you were on a battleship and then you had the fight right in the middle. So you both started both ends of the ship and you just meet right inside.
Yeah, there's a Battlefield 4 map at the docks. That one was good. Enjoyed that.
So there's been some good ones that are out there. But I don't know if I have like a greatest hit.
Yeah, greatest hits is tough because again, there's just lots of them. As I said, mine will mostly just be from Unreal Tournament, like OG Unreal, like 2000. So
that was
the Unreal fans out there.
Epic just get rid of all those games. They just turned all the servers off. The Unreal Tournament servers because they pulled the games and then now they shut the servers off because they're moving to some server system in the back end. Yeah, we're not bringing this shit over.
I thought Unreal was peer-to-peer.
No, not this. Not the tournament ones. There was a big deal about it, and people talking about how, well, can you make it open source so we could get the shit working on our own and then just run it?
That sucks. I'm sure that there's like a bunch of people that are working on the ground to get them back up again or something. Did you ever play? No, you must have played Modern Warfare 2 1.
Yep. There was the new one?
Old one.
Oh, the old one. Yes.
OG.
There were some good ones in there. There were some good ones with if I'm remembering, maybe I got
those high rise terminal.
It was a
favela,
and you can get into like there's like a Burger King or some place. It was like a fast food place. I remember going to the roof, shooting from there, and it's like a little store, and everybody's running from different stores.
Yeah, I think that the Modern Warfare 2 maps were pretty good. But yeah, I'm trying to remember Battlefield 3 maps. I just remember the one at Paris where like you start off like at the top ground and then you go in like underground and something like that. That was pretty cool. They had the one on the dam, which was pretty cool. No, sorry, that's Battlefield 4. Where like, you could like, blow up the dam and then the whole place just floods.
Yeah. What was it? Yeah, in fact, there was
Battlefield.
Gears. It was Gears 3, I think, that started adding weird environmental elements. Like they had a blizzard in one, and it would activate. And they had a few of them.
All
Too
right.
many maps.
Yeah.
Too many.
What are we up to now? Domeke who's been joining us tonight as Blitz. All right, what's a game that when you see a screenshot of it or just hear the name, you can instantly hear it? It could be a soundtrack, sound effect, whatever. You show me like any shot of Metal Gear like Solid, the first one, I instantly hear like or the music or whatever, you know.
Okay, let me try this. Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah, you already know, man.
There we
the
go.
song, you hear it, Brian. And I'm seeing the staircase. You know, you're going up that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Do. You hear that shit. You just say the name of that game.
Metal Gear 4. Metal Gear 4. What is that one?
I don't actually get something real quick for that.
Shit. Yeah.
The first level.
Oh yeah. That's right. When he's in the desert. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Adam. What game do you come like? It's as soon as you even hear the name of it, you hear it.
Oh, that's Halo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, Gears. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Of course, what we said with Metal Gear, have all kinds of, especially the earlier ones, the Nintendo ones. Bionic Commando. Dun, 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 dun. There's a bunch of them, but those are the ones that instantly, if I hear.
Yeah. Carlos. You got anything? Is he even around? I don't think he is. Brett.
How about this one?
Yeah.
There's some old songs. There's old songs that trigger things that shouldn't. Like, what's it? Oh, that old.
We're gonna go off rail.
No, it's this World on Fire. I was like, World on Fire, and I think of Fallout.
Oh, that's Fallout.
Oh,
that was
game?
in Fallout.
Yeah.
That
That's
was in Fallout.
that's a real song, and it's an old song. But when I think of it, I guess it's the only time I remember always hearing it was in the trailers for Fallout. So that's
see, for me, when I hear that song, I think Megadeth because they play that before one of their songs. You know, I don't want to set the world on fire, and they hear the nuclear bomb. You know, then it goes crazy. So yeah, Fallout did have it, but I first heard it in Megadeth. You know, Brett, any games that like you can instantly hear them?
Forever and always the Final Fantasy victory anthem.
Yes, like you see any any shot of
Yeah, there it is.
Man. Yep.
Yeah. The best.
Also, anytime I every time I see any Zelda screenshot, I always like hear the original kind of the uncovered secret music, the do 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 do.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that thing.
or when you see like an old Konami game. Remember that shit? The logo come up. Like you knew you were in for some good stuff, you know?
Oh, read the Sega logo without hearing it.
Yeah, exactly. You always hear it, Sega.
But it was only in one game that it did that though.
Sonic.
It's a Sonic.
The Sonic, yeah.
Yeah, or Sega. You know, you hear that.
Yeah, that was in a few games too.
Yeah.
That's why I named my dog Second.
Yeah. Or you see the logo for Mortal Kombat, you hear Mortal Kombat. You know?
Yeah, this is
remember Mortal Monday?
Mortal Monday.
Yeah. Brian, you got any more?
No, just name them all, actually. You name them all.
Yeah, Chris, get in
You
here,
guys
man.
mentioned
Yeah. Well, yeah, we did, but you were gone.
Oh.
When I called it. Anyway, Chris, go on. You throw us some more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's you see Mario or Zelda and you think of Koji Kondo music. You either think of the World 1 song when you hear Mario. Like there's a bunch of iconic songs with the Mario Brothers games, but I always think of the original one. You know, you always think of that. And Zelda, you hear like Brett said, the secret, but I always think of the chest. He opens the chest and it's like, you know, it builds up and it goes, you know, like that. You know, you always, hear that. So that to me is like iconic.
Good stuff. Fergus Mills in the house. What's up, man? All right. Second question from Mr. Blitz. All right.
Yo, man, you forgetting about me, son?
Oh yeah, I thought you named some stuff. Go ahead. You said Metal Gear 4.
Anything.
Yeah, you did.
No, I said I was just adding to yours.
Okay,
I
yeah,
was
go
just say Street Fighter is
Yes.
That one, the Guile theme.
Yeah.
And
you know which one for me with Street Fighter? Like when I see it, it's like dun, 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 dun,
that too.
dun.
Because
you know, and you got to hear that sound effect when the guy
because-
punches out the other guy. You know?
because it's the attract mode.
Yeah,
because that
exactly.
was the only song you heard on there.
I always
Yeah.
wished that at the end of any of those, if they could at least in those games, Street Fighter, if they could have those two guys as playable character, because they show them and they're not playable characters.
One of them is they
it looks
actually
like Cody.
did put-
Looks like early Cody.
It looks like Cody, but it actually those two characters are in Street Fighter. They actually did put them in the game.
What?
Which one?
Which one?
I think it might be
You
the
think?
Versus game, or
Yeah.
as I remember, they actually did put them inside of the game.
Well, we need some proof of that. You
As
know?
characters,
Yeah, because I always
I
wondered.
don't
I was
remember
like,
that.
yo,
Adam would know. He
never
plays
put-
all the Street Fighters. you
Yeah,
know?
I've never seen him. The only guy I was like, this guy looks like Cody, but then who's he fighting?
Yeah, because
It
there was a
doesn't-
rumor
Well,
that one of the new guys was that, but it turned out he wasn't. You know.
Well, now with Street Fighter 6, you can make them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. I'm
It's
gonna be
ridiculous.
Jabroni
Just
number
make
one.
the
and
guy in the white guy in the white T-shirt.
I hope you know there's
Also-
two guys I'm making first, though. Two guys.
Also for me, also would be the beginning of the Kingdom Hearts thing, the little fanfare, the piano song that every single one of those games begin with. Yeah.
Shit, can't
Oh,
wait.
you know what I hear too,
Show
man?
enough.
You show me any Mass Effect star map, you know.
Oh my god!
You
I
know?
should have said that.
Yeah, man. Like that's ultimate right there. Or just the logo Mass Effect, you hear that shit. Oh man, that's some good stuff. All right, next question here from Mr. Blitz. All right, with the success of the Switch and now the Steam Deck finding a large audience where the Steam machines failed miserably, this is true. Could this be the re-emergence of handheld hardware being a big part of the gaming landscape again? Could it become a new entry point for more hardware makers to join? And I'm not counting the cloud-based shit, given the hardware spec is generally lower due to power constraints in a traditional console, making it cheaper to produce. Yeah, I mean, because obviously the success of the Switch is going to make it. So it already has made other people jump in there, but you're right. Most of them are cloud-based. You know, Steam Deck is like an actual real console, just like, you know, the Nintendo Switch is like you play the shit locally, you download it, you play the shit locally. But there's like a million of these fucking cloud-based ones, and unfortunately, I think that's where things are really gonna keep going for the foreseeable future. It'll be cool if somebody else brings like another handheld.
Dude, they already are. There's so many
There's a
clones
bunch.
of the Steam Deck coming up.
Oh, okay, yeah, that, like
There's two that are
like
Iron,
proper.
Is that Ioneo? I think it's called Ioneo.
Yeah.
Remember,
Proper-
we're
like-
talking about like non-cloud-based ones. 'Cause
Yeah,
there's a
no,
billion
I'm
it's-
fucking those.
telling you, they
it's
have
got
higher
Windows,
specs.
and everything's got higher specs and everything.
Okay,
It
that's
just
good.
is-
That's good.
And you can load the Steam OS on it if you want.
Okay, no,
But
that's
they're
good.
all
that's
like $1,200.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Oh,
It's
super
not cheap.
expensive. Yeah.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Now
yeah.
here's the thing I need to say though. Like I've seen in the game industry several times when something failed, honestly, because it was before its time. Right? Like we saw a lot of the stuff that made Microsoft kind of crash and burn, like being used successfully.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck. I'm watching them launch pretty much the equivalent to a Sega channel, something Sega experimented with, 30 fucking years ago, man. So I don't know if it's always that when an idea crashes and burns that it's dead. And I think it has to prove its need. And I think that the Steam Deck is actually probably a pretty good foot in the door, or if they ever wanted to try Steam Decks again. I'm sitting here playing my Steam Deck plugged in right now. It's kind of like a Switch. You buy it for the handheld, but you end up using a lot of it for, you just plug a mouse and keyboard into, and you're fucking good to go. And if you got a laptop laying around that's, fairly decent, you just plug that bitch into, good to go. It's really shown me like, man, I could really go for a Steam box. Like if they made a good one, if Valve made it, I'd buy a Steam box.
Yeah. All right. So, but yeah, I still think it's too early to say whether handhelds are making a big comeback. But obviously, the gaming industry. We're already seeing people trying their hands. So maybe.
Did they ever leave?
No, not really, because again, Nintendo has always been consistent, and they're always the gold standard when it comes to handhelds. Like they're always like the best selling ones, you know. But with the Switch's success, it made all these other guys jump in too, you know. And again, mostly just cloud based shit. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a thing for a while, you know. So it'll be exciting. But they got to bring those costs down on those other ones. God damn, $1,200, shit, you know.
Yeah. I mean, PC shit's expensive, man.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Hopefully, that is coming down as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on here. Who is this, man? Effital? Who is this guy? I have a feeling he has a lot of classy tattoos. So his question is, one of the reasons given for why games cost so much is that voice actors need to be paid. My question is, can AI-generated voices lower the cost of games? If we have procedurally generated worlds, why not procedurally generated dialogue? For no reason whatsoever, Brett, why don't you answer first?
Okay, so hypothetically, if I were just sitting there and I was like, I'm wondering about this question, it would probably be because I was sitting around and watching YouTube videos, and I came across one that was talking, showing pretty good impersonations of people that were just text to speech with a small sample size. So kind of followed it around and checked it out, and I got one of Tony. Do you have it, Tony? I can play it.
Yeah, go ahead, play it. Yeah,
it's not gonna be that great because it's gonna be phone. So
yeah.
But I don't think we have it uploaded. So listen up.
Welcome to Throwdown, everybody. This is Tony, and I have to say, I love cats, and I feel the need to tell everyone. This is just my opinion, but I firmly believe in a numbered rating system, and I have to give cats 10 out of 10. Perfect score.
By the way, by the way, cats are fine. I just don't want. But yeah, number rating scores, fuck that shit. You know.
I think the one thing about the reconstructions, it needs a little bit more training. I think the deepness of it works, but it still sounds too
robotic.
White
yeah,
guy. It sounds too white guy.
I kind of look at it like if Tony were like recording a hostage video at gunpoint, that's what he'd sound like.
Oh yeah. If it was me, I'd be like, I love pineapples. You know.
Yeah, but I thought about that, but I was like, I'm not trying to like subvert Tony. I was just trying to say something ridiculous. But like, if you go into that with raw data and like start auto-tuning inflection and pausing into it, you could really build something. And if you trained it a little bit more, and that's the base version. That's not even like the quote unquote perfect commercial version. I'm going to pay for that shit. But it kind of really makes me think like, wow, AI is moving so fast that it seems like it can provide some fairly powerful tools. We have it able to kind of create speech. We have Chat GPT, and I was kind of thinking like, I've played D&D before. All D&D is a rule set that can fit in a book, which, let's be honest, is not that much data. And then a person, or a mind, interpreting those and reacting to whatever this other person wants to do. It wouldn't be that difficult to throw an AI behind that, and then you give it just assets of like, well, here's what a kobold looks like. Here's a kobold animation. Here's what a forest looks like. Here's a forest animation. A big library to pull from. You could essentially create an amazing storytelling engine that you're just like, I'm gonna walk into that bar, and it's like, all right. And your character walks into that bar, and it's animating shit and telling you a fucking story. Like, the power here could really be super useful, and it kind of made me think like, a small team could probably do a lot. Meaning a big team could probably save a lot of money.
You're talking about procedurally generated thing, which is already done.
That's what I'm saying.
That's No Man's Sky right there. But they did give it obviously a lot of parameters. But as far as saving money, I don't know if it'll exactly save money, but it might save space. Because to generate an AI voice, you don't nearly need as much audio data as you would for something like something that's actually voice acted. So you would probably be able to expand the scope of your world. Like, in other words, how like in some games there's a point where the characters essentially just run out of things to say. because number one, they're an incidental character that really isn't that important. They wouldn't record like thousands of cards of data for that for that character. And number two, they would want to spend that, you know, on whatever the main character's on the things that they specifically said. So let's say you take Horizon Zero Dawn, right? All your main characters are all, you know, voiced, but all your side characters, you know, side quests and all that stuff, in which they also did do something like that, where you remember people were they were saying that they had blank face, because all of those characters, they were voiced, but they were also not hand animated. They were analyzed. In other words, they would analyze the speech and then move the mouth accordingly.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much money you could save, but you can definitely leverage how much, create a larger world with a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, I still see. I've seen a lot of games on Steam. If you play like Divinity and those types of games, it's a pretty big deal for them to be voiced, and most MMOs still aren't voiced, because you're just talking about such a staggering amount of text.
There was some. I forgot. Years ago, there was some game that did attempt to do AI voices, but everybody complained about it or something. Where all the characters that were not, all the characters were all AI voiced, like essentially text to speech stuff.
Yeah, it used to be terrible.
Yeah, it used to be terrible, but now, I definitely think it can be used, but again, there's also the problems of like if it sounds too much like a specific person. So like if you're, Tony, let's say Tony was a voice actor and we're replicating Tony's voice in AI, that would definitely cause a lot of issues because you're using his voice over again.
Yeah,
but
even if it is a sound-alike AI generated version.
Yeah, that's a lot of legal shit right there,
Well, look at it this way.
Currently, like actors, there's a lot of digital stuff that's going on with actors that have been deceased, and this happened years ago when they put Fred Astaire in a thing, and this brought up the question of with the digital age of actors and stuff like that, and protecting them from being misused. So there are whole companies that are totally devoted to protecting the rights of deceased actors, like Marilyn Monroe.
You need proper channels to monetize this, but like instead of paying Tony, I can call Tony and be like, "Yo, I know you're a voice actor. I need you to work for a month. I'll pay you $25,000, and I need you to read this many lines." Or call him and be like, "Yo, I don't need you to come in at all. I just need you to say yes to the rights to train an AI on your voice, and I'll give you $5,000."
Say no, Tony. Say no.
Yeah. What happens if the actor says no?
Then they find an actor who says yes.
The thing about it, there's also a lot of other things involved, because actors are also when it comes to certain games, sometimes they're part of the SAG Screen Actors Guild. Why would they not just take a lump sum? That's like working off guild.
Well, I mean,
and can't make any sort of additional money off of it. That's the
I don't know how that goes
in general.
I don't know how to go with the guild industry, but like all of these problems already exist when you're talking about just hiring an actor. What if the actor says no? Well, then you recast them. You find somebody who says yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's Bayonetta right there. But the thing is that doesn't give the game studio the right to essentially duplicate the original voice of Bayonetta using AI.
No, they find somebody who does
her own.
They find somebody who does a great impression, and ask them for videos. And we're living in a world where you have a library of your audio samples where you can just sell off, and it's going to be I think honestly it's going to be a good thing, because it's kind of like, Manny, when you do commissions versus mainline work. Like mainline work, if it's your own thing, it kind of pays in perpetuity. Right, so you can stack multiple things. You don't actually have to go in and do the job. You don't have to draw every comic by hand. You can sell a bunch of them, and they can pay you a little less per comic, but they sell a bunch of them, so you end up making more money. As opposed to if you sold comics, hand-drawn comics one at a time, they'd be ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, like if I was drawing every single hand-drawn comic, but I
feel like
it's a little bit of a different thing. It's a little bit of a different thing than that.
It is a little bit different, but my point is, like, a lot of people say like passive income is the way to wealth, and using AI to sell a library that can be trained on it is going to be a great way to generate passive income, especially if they can't use it without your permission. So it's not like you let one person train it and then another person can train it off that one and another person can train it off that one. No, like you either say yes, you can use it for this, or no. It's like somebody coming to you and be like, I want to make this comic series and I want to use an AI trained on your art. I'll pay you this per comic, and they'll write a contract, and then you don't have to do anything. You make less per comic per page, but you don't have to do anything.
To be honest, like if you were going to sign a deal like that where they can perpetually make money, well, they sort of already do perpetually make money off of the things I do, but regardless after. So, but the thing about it is, it's like, I think it's a huge slippery slope when it comes to that sort of stuff, especially when it comes to iconic artists,
I mean, I think it's going to be a slippery slope anyway, because like with deep fakes and things like this, like it's only going to get better. So the question is,
it's actually not going to get any better, because
I mean, it's going to get worse. I mean, it's only going to get worse. Sorry.
As much as we would love if everyone says yes, this is a tool, it's a tool, it's you use. The thing about it is, it's such a simple tool, anybody can misuse it. With AI, again, I've said this with AI upscaling. You could have a tiny image nowadays of your specific artwork, and somebody could literally AI upscale it and then put it onto a T-shirt without even getting your permission to do it.
I mean, they could take a screenshot of it. And
they can take a screen. They could take a. That's part of the reason why a lot of artists don't even allow photos of their works at Comic Cons anymore. It's because it's so easy to do that. You just take yourself a nice high resolution image, and then what you can do is you can run it through an AI to clean it all up. Well, AI system, any one of those AI things to clean them all up, and then there you go. And now
you don't even have to have AI for that to be the problem. Like somebody could upscale it or trace it. Like
exactly.
There was a point where it was illegal to just take photos of random people and use them in advertising, right? Like just being out in public.
No, it's never been that way.
Yeah, it has. I just watched the history thing on this.
You have to everybody whenever those things are done, especially if things are filmed or anything like that, you have to sign a waiver, or they have a little signage, which is
where do you think that came from though? The original court case, where do you think that came from? It was a woman who sued a company for using her to they put her up on a billboard for.
It was a daughter.
It was her daughter.
Yeah, it was okay. In California, and they saw a picture of Belle, and it was like, oh, well, you just used a stock image, and they thought they had rights to put her up on the poster.
Oh no, this was in like the early 1900s. This was they put her on a billboard for like some like heroin cough syrup or soda or some shit like that. And the woman was just walking by, and she's like, "The fuck, that's me." And so she hired lawyers, and they went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And actually, first she lost, but then they appealed, and she won. And it set a precedent for needing to, a person's likeness is their personal property and can only be, sold off with a contract. And I think we're going to get kind of the same thing eventually here, because these problems are happening with or without AI, right? You can have great impersonators doing impersonations of people. Like, where does that land? And so we're going to have to draw these lines anyway, just because of the whole problem of the digital age. I don't think the problem is necessarily AI. I think the problem is digital rights.
The people, just people.
Yeah, like you have to sign rights to use your work, but that doesn't stop people from taking screenshots of it and trying to use it the wrong way, or taking your shit off DeviantArt and posting it on Reddit. Like, it's a problem. It's just a problem.
In general, it's also the precedence of the internet in general, where people think that just because it's put on the internet, it's free reign, and that's the biggest issue. Because officially redistribution is illegal no matter what. Theoretically, you shouldn't be. You're not. You agree to these terms because there's no way to police it.
Yeah. Think about it. I remember with the web browser, I forgot which one it was. Maybe the Internet Explorer, Netscape, one of them. I was like, wow, this is a cool image. And I right-clicked, and it gave me the option, save image. I was like, oh, I can keep a copy of this? It's like I thought it was just all just for display, part of the website, and then I was saving images all over the fucking.
But you see a lot of websites now. A lot of websites, even back then, were disabling your right click, but you could always, everyone could really figure out a way to get around it to get to save an image off. But yeah, that's part of that sort of situation.
Yeah. Real quick, Kishak adds a question related to this. Does anyone see a AAA studio using AI generated voices to make a game without backlash from it?
I mean, they
already are using AI in other aspects of games. Like if you watched,
he's talking about with voices specifically, though.
Well, I think to be honest,
Manny's saying there's a precedent.
There is a precedence for it. Like in other words, it's not all. Everybody's all knows about all the surface level AI. Hey, look, you're generating art, you're doing all this stuff. But it's already being used in the game industry. It's been using for a long time. So not for voices per se, but I could definitely think they could get away with using it if they could explain to the fact that they're not using any sort of AI voices. I mean, they're not using any well-known voices, and they're using it to expand the world. So in other words, giving voices to all of the characters in AI in World of Warcraft. Something I think
it's going to be the opposite, Manny. I think they're going to showcase a high-level talent that the voice is based on. So the same way, like when they kind of started using digital actors and reconstructed actors, they made a big deal about like, look how cool this is. We made an actor, we scanned them, then we put ping pong balls on another person, and they acted out this person's role. Like I think it depends on whether or not they're open about it. If they try and sneak it past people, I think there'll be a backlash. If they're like, check it out, we got Keanu Reeves to train this AI, so all of the voice acting sounds like Keanu Reeves, and he responds to you in a better way.
I think the one thing about it is that like if they like, because actors have already been doing something similar to this with their, the directional services, where like you could get Snoop Dogg on your your direction, like to give you the directions on your phone or on one of the GPS systems. But I don't know if I think like for the general public that would be a wow, but I think for gamers in general, I think the wow would be the fact that every single character talks.
Yeah,
and says something unique.
Yeah, I'm just saying they'll present it to you like Keanu Reeves with over 10,000 lines of dialogue reacts in real time to whatever you say.
Yeah, like what if Johnny Silverhand really reacted to the thing, didn't really reacted to all the different things, and you could ask him specific questions as opposed to him just sort of showing up every so, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So you don't think gamers will like be opposed to that?
Not if you use a famous actor.
I think if you explain it the right way.
Yeah, because again, I'm speaking as a gamer. I already don't like that idea at all.
But you look at it look at it like this. You just watched The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Right? You saw Luke Skywalker, young Luke Skywalker, with the AI with the AI
and that was kind of bothersome too.
And an AI generated voice.
Yeah, and that was kind of bothersome,
That's only you, Tony.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I am speaking about me. I literally just said that, Brett.
No, well, I mean that's you. I mean, when I say that, I mean that's a small subsection of people, including you.
And that's my question. Is like, do you think the larger gaming audience will say? Well, you guys in the chat, let me know what you think about this. But yeah,
I think it depends.
Yeah.
If it were just some random jackass, like in Star Wars, when it was that one general, people were like, that's creepy. But it was Luke Skywalker. They're like, okay, there's kind of an effect of the rule of cool in play here. Whereas if it's cool enough, people will accept it.
Well, I mean, like they did it with Governor Tarkin.
Yeah, and that was weird too.
It didn't look very well.
Yeah,
it didn't look very good. I mean, I feel like the Luke Skywalker stuff, especially the second time when he showed up, they did a lot better of a job with it. But I think but I think that people were like, I think people were wild, but also the fact that they also had the real Mark Hamill involved with it, even though they probably didn't use any of the shit he did.
Yeah.
And that's my point, Manny. That's where the actor part comes in. Like, you need a bridge to get there. You can't just be like, we built a creepy AI that'll talk to you, like the whatever AI real girlfriend that's all over the fucking internet that's creepy as shit.
But
if they're like, we trained, if they're like, we trained Keanu Reeves to do this, most people will think like, oh, so they had Keanu Reeves say every word and then they reconstructed it with AI. And it's not going to be that at all, but that's how people will think. Like, it's still Keanu Reeves, just chopped up.
What if it was like half and half deal, where in other words, during the cinematics when you need him to really act, or at certain moments, that's when he's actual Keanu Reeves. But if you want other portions of like superfluous dialogue of him commenting,
exactly,
that could be the AI fill-in.
Exactly, like a stunt double. As long as they have something because inhuman AI is going to creep people out, right? Like, you need to connect it to a person to almost put a human face to it, as creepy as that sounds. So, like, if they're like Bruce Willis, with a custom, they'll say some fucking fancy term for it, like with a custom real time reactive conversation engine, starring Bruce Willis.
There was a game that did do that, where it was a famous actor and it had like digital voices. It might have been that Bruce Willis game from when he was in, that it had additional. It had something in it. What was it?
I don't know. I was thinking the Syndicate with Dennis Hopper, but maybe not. I don't know. That was an older time.
Or here's another way that they could do it. They'll just go ahead and lean into the creep factor and be like, full conversations with Emma Stone.
Or finally giving you're giving all of those Five Nights at Freddy's with all that silliness.
Oh yeah, or digital waifus,
animal things.
You know how many Skyrim players would love for their companion to talk to them?
They've sort of done that in Japan, like even with even with the weird cyborg voice, like Vocaloid stuff and all that.
They have a phone app that's a digital girlfriend. It's an AI digital girlfriend.
They're doing some weird shit over there in Japan for sure.
No, that's here.
To be honest, I feel like in Japan would probably be the one that would be totally okay with.
Well, they're already doing it, Yeah. But it's Japan. They're it's Japan.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here. Last couple sponsored questions to end off the show. Who is this? Lunar Diaries? Who is this guy?
Whoa!
I have a feeling he's a very smart guy.
I heard he was a Terminator.
So he's sponsoring. He's sponsoring one of J Shep's questions. Recently, it was reported that Saudi Arabia just became Nintendo's largest investor. It is reported that Saudi Arabia owns stock in gaming industry companies like Activision Blizzard, EA, Take-Two, Capcom, Nexon, and Embracer, just to name a few. Savvy Games said recently that they plan to invest at least $38 billion in the gaming industry in the coming years. If this were China, I would be very concerned. Should I be worried about Saudi Arabia at all? For no reason.
They're doing this with sports. They're trying to rebrand everything.
Yeah, for no reason whatsoever. I'm going to let Chris answer first.
Well, here's the thing. You should be concerned if any country like this, any kind of state-owned investment is buying up massive amounts of any entertainment, especially video games. So we called this out when it was Tencent. You have Tencent is basically CCP state-owned government. Yeah, it's government control. So they bought into Epic, right? Gave them tons of money, and they're like, what? Because why do these? Why do they invest in? What is really important? You don't throw that kind of money out there without expecting something in return, right? And it's not just about game profits. Companies care about that. What like companies like Tencent, whatever, care about is data, right? They want data. They data harvest, and then they sell that data, or they use it to kind of reorient products or push other products to you or whatever. And then they could also sell it. So that's where the concern comes in. It's like, okay, you've you're losing privacy because you can't guarantee that if you then pay into a game or a service that they don't take your data as a gamer, whatever it is, your gamer tag, your PlayStation ID or whatever it is, your hours played or whatever. You don't know what they're taking from that and trying to like figure you out and then what they're doing with that data afterwards. So that's a huge concern. And I don't care who it is. Even if it was like if it was our own government or Canada or wherever, that's always sets up red flags. So that's concerning because the main investor in a company, besides private citizens, should be its consumers. So but we can't compete with that. Like all of us together, for everyone listening to the show and everybody and 6 degrees separated from you, buys Nintendo games for perpetuity. We're not giving them $38 billion or whatever. We can't do that. So they'll gladly take that money and then they'll make deals on the side like, hey, you're going to share your eShop data with us and you're going to share all what your users buy, how many hours they play, whatever. You're going to share all that data with us. They'll agree to it. You have no control over that. So that's what stinks about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the fact that like that is the Saudi Arabian government has a subsidiary that literally does all of this, and there were rumors and that they were trying to buy the WWE at one point, which
they're one of. There's a bunch of that they're asking for like $9 billion. So we'll see. Anything is possible.
Yeah, so it's like there's all these different, and then again, like, you ever notice that like it's always third world countries that don't want to play by the rules at all? It's like, oh well, we have enough money to do this, but then we should.
Yeah.
Right. Yet and all, when some other company, like if the U.S. government were ever to invest in a company like that, literally own a portion of a company, they would never. The world would never stand for anything like that. Yeah, because it's seen as not playing fair game, but everybody else is trying to do that shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
like the fact that the Chinese government has to own a portion of your company in order to sell shit in their country. That's fucking crazy.
I will say this: the U.S. does invest in other companies, but they never take any stock in them.
No, they're in other words, they're paying them to do the job. Like Boeing and all that stuff. They're paying them to do these specific things, but they didn't buy a portion of Boeing to say, okay, this is to gain control over it, right? But also at the same time, like I would think that also that if in some cases that have probably may cause like security issues, especially if they're working on something big, right? Does that mean they would have to? Well, go ahead.
Yeah, there's always security concerns because it's like our data and everything we interact with and then use inside the games or even like chat and whatever. You never know of what's exposed to them now that they've made these investments. Also, they can kind of steer the course of the companies more, right? Because now they're beholden to them. So projects that we may like from these companies like Take-Two or whatever, let's say there was going to be, let's say Rockstar was not as they are now. Like the guys who made GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 were still the same. I'm hinting at something here. But let's say there was going to be a Red Dead Redemption 3 or Red Dead Redemption remake, right? Or the remake the John Marston story and whatever. And somebody in Saudi Arabia was like, nah, I don't want to see this cowboy shit, right? What I want to see is something like in the Middle East, maybe a military story, right? So they cancel the remake, even though people would be fucking excited for it here, right? Now they go, oh, okay, we're gonna do a some kind of action shooter based in around Saudi Arabia, or it happens in Dubai or something. And it's like, well, we just lost out on a remake. But here, that's the thing. It's like their money talks louder than us, than what we'd want. It's like, I'd gladly pay for a Red Dead Redemption remake. Well, too bad. You're going to play action shooter in the desert.
Yeah, that's scary. And that's kind of what's happening with the movie industry. We're making these movies that are like China friendly, for lack of a better term. That is fucking crazy.
Well, don't be surprised if we're if you hear a lot of more news of Saudi Arabia buying up portions of other companies, because what's going on over there, Qatar, and Adam knows this very well. Like Qatar owns a lot of shit in Europe, a lot. And what they're doing is they know that they're what they make money on, it's natural gas and oil and all that stuff, and they know it's a limited resource, so they're diversifying the hell out of their assets right now because they have a lot of money. So they're buying up as much stuff that they can, different fields, different sectors, football teams,
players. They got Ronaldo over there now playing. They want to get Messi as an ambassador for football.
They're getting gaming companies. They're getting malls and stuff in different countries. So this Nintendo thing is just a start. Don't be surprised if you hear them being in line to buy other type of companies.
Heard it here first, people. I agree with that. Unfortunately, scary. Like, and you know what? I'll stop. I was going to go on a rant.
The thing about it is, the thing about it is like, especially if somebody's throwing like unbelievable amounts of money on there for some of these companies, it's like, how do you say no?
I'll just say this and just not follow up. I was going to say, it's just funny how like Western greed is going to allow these other entities to, fuck us over. But that's what it is. It's like they're not looking at the big picture. They're like, you guys are literally getting gobbled up by these fucking countries that don't have your best interests at heart. They're fucking evil countries, and you're just going for it because they're paying you a lot of money. It's fucking insane.
Look at all the shit that's
we found out during the pandemic. You have these
You know what? All the shit that was manufactured. All the shit
that's capitalism.
Yeah. Good job, guys. Yeah, good job. Your fucking greed is going to get you devoured by the barbarians. Good for you.
And the thing about it is, it's like, like what Adam was just saying. We learned about all of this in the pandemic. Literally, the country that makes 90% of the things that exist on this planet. What happens if they all, these
idiot close up shop
companies? These idiot companies put all their money, put all their eggs into one basket, and then what happened? And this was predicted too.
Yeah,
where they were like,
talking about this.
If something was to happen to China, like something was to happen, we would all be fucked over. And what happened? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we need to start making some shit.
Yeah, how about that? How about we start making stuff again like we used to?
And start making some shit so Manny can get his PS5.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, make me some some microchips over here in this country.
I want to see shit that says made in Mexico, right? That's over here. That shit made over there,
Yeah, man.
I had a 360 that said made in Mexico.
You get a PS5, you made a PS6 made in Mexico, and you get a taco too. Let's go. Yo,
man, give me some of that Mexican Coke with that PlayStation.
Like, I'd rather deal with people over here. I'm just saying.
The humble bundle.
Oh man. All right, moving on here. All right, we got.
Is anything manufactured in Canada besides like maple?
Yeah, let's get Canada to make some shit.
Do they have anything? Because I think they only deal with lumber,
Canada,
right? It's all about lumber.
Well, the thing about Canada is it's they're
That's what I'm saying.
It's not that. It's maybe like a couple of bucks cheaper over there.
Yeah. Canada is America light, so
they're not gonna,
Yeah, they're not gonna export the jobs over there because they're not gonna be making as much of a profit if the workers are Canadian. There's pretty much like American ones.
The only thing I can see stuff happening, and this happened in the film and animation industry, that a lot of shows ended up going to, and game companies going to Canada, is because Canada has subsidies for the arts over there. So if you notice a lot of shows. A lot of shows are made over there because they get a subsidy from the Canadian government to essentially that you make your thing there. That's how like Montreal and all those other video game companies all had those different studios over there, because they get a nice big subsidy because they have a certain amount of Canadian employees and they make it inside of their country.
Still upsets me that The Boys is filmed out there, but they keep saying they're in New York, and it's bullshit.
They're in
Oh
Toronto.
no,
aren't
they do it in Toronto, but yeah, they
I
get
know,
it.
no,
That's
but I
why
know
they-
in the show it's
that's-
saying, "Oh yeah, this
that's-
is New York." It's like, well, you're
that's-
not. You could go to New
That's
York. Why
why.
not?
That's why they do a lot of shows. Like the X Files used to be
Oh, yeah.
filmed up there, and because you just get a good, again, you're getting a nice subsidy from the Canadian government, and you're using all the people there are all trained people who worked in the industry for years. So
That's a law
it's
and
not
order.
like you're going to some weird,
City.
bizarro country that doesn't, have anything. Like
Support your Law
Prague.
and Order franchise. Keep watching them. Those motherfuckers doing hard.
All the
still doing
all
it.
the DC CW shows were in Vancouver or something like that.
Yep, they're all in Vancouver, but that's why if you notice a lot of the Marvel stuff is all filmed in Atlanta is because because Atlanta gives a really good subsidy when it comes to making things.
Walking
in their
Dead's
state.
out there. There's a bunch.
Walking
of
Dead, all the Marvel
MCU.
movies. Tyler Perry's got a huge ass studio making millions of dollars over there. So there you go.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry.
All right, man. Last two questions of the night, also sponsored by a fella that is very generous and very much alive, called Ramu Death. He is sponsoring two Mob Hits questions. First one is PlayStation's Horizon franchise a system seller? I don't know about that because we didn't exactly get sales numbers,
Yeah, it's a very fascinating thing, for a talked about franchise. You would think that they would be on the forefront of being like, hey, we sold something million of
They
these
were real
titles.
quick to give those God of War numbers,
It might be the Guerrilla effect because Guerrilla, their franchises are always like kind of hype, but they don't sell as well as.
Well, here's the thing. We
Killzone?
saw the sales numbers. It apparently was like the 10th best selling game last year, right? But they didn't give us those numbers, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So the game sold, by the way, it's been a year since that game dropped. Isn't that crazy? Which also means next week, 1 year since Elden Ring came out. Where does time fly? So I don't know. I don't think it's objectively a system seller, but it does sell, in some capacity. Not 5 million though. Like that shit sold 5 million. Sony would have been all over that shit. That's the magic number.
I mean, that's how they as soon as God of War hit that number, like they're like, we did it.
If it sold 5 million within the first week, probably. But if it sold 5 million within a year, then maybe not.
Yeah, you're right about that. Probably did sell. It had to have sold over that, right? If it was like the top 10 game, but you're right about that. It took a while, but no, the games are dope. Both of those games are great. So at least, I'm ready for another one for sure. All right, and the last question of the night: what are your favorite video game to anime adaptations? My first, the one that got me into like real anime, man, Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, and I'm not talking about that bullshit. Fucking American dub. I'm talking about the real shit, man. Manny went offline right now. I remember that shit, man, and Adam. I mean, you remember this. Remember EGM was hyping that shit. Like, yo, this is coming to Japanese theaters, Street Fighter, and then we saw those screenshots. Like, oh, this shit looks fucking crazy, right? So, when it finally came out on bootleg, me and the crew, Manny, we went down to Main Street, got that bootleg copy. Yo, we watched the fuck out of that for months. That was hype. And then I was like, are there other things like this? That's what I learned about it, like real anime. I didn't know that, things I grew up with like Voltron or whatever were anime, but I was like, what the fuck, man? You remember that was Street Fighter 2, the animated movie? That was crazy, So that was a big one for me. Then obviously there's some other good ones. The Fatal Fury animes were really, really good. I really enjoyed those. Darkstalkers was all right, it looked nice. Yeah.
Darkstalkers, it's kind of a boring anime. It was made by the same guys who did the Street Fighter movie, but it's not nearly as good. The Alpha movie
it was all right. It looked good, but But for me, for me, Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, and the Fatal Fury movies, they got progressively better too. You had 2 OVAs, then you had the proper movie, and each one was better than the last. Those were fucking good, man.
Hey Tony, at last I have the final move to the Hakyoku Second School.
Yes, I love that shit, man. What about the rest of you guys? What are some of your favorite video game to anime adaptations? Come on.
Video game to anime.
Yeah, video games to anime. Yeah.
Go for it, Brian. I know Brian. Brian's just chomping at the bit.
I want for Brett to say it.
Oh, Brett.
Excuse me?
I haven't thought of it yet.
Come on, Brett. You know which one.
Do
You
I?
know the one, Brett. Yeah,
Brett
you do.
doesn't. You know.
You know-
No,
one.
no, I don't. No, I'm drawing a blank, man.
Yeah, tell him.
It's a punk game that you like.
Oh, we're talking about Cyberpunk? Honestly,
just say Edge Runners.
I didn't think Edge Runners was all that great.
Oh, whoa,
Remove
controversial.
this man.
Clutch the pearl.
I mean, it was super pretty, but I felt like the
Where do you live,
storyline
Brett?
was predictable.
I'll co-sign with Brett because I rage quit after episode 2. I'm just saying.
Oh,
Where you live, Adam?
Bushwick, come at me.
Yo, give him an address at the Bronx.
I'm telling you, there's something about it. I don't know. It was just too flashy, and it felt like it was trying too hard. And I appreciate it, but I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go watch something else.
Oh, I know what it is.
Brett, I have an answer for you.
I got an answer. I got
Okay.
a good one too. Fucking Castlevania.
I was gonna tell you that. It's Castlevania.
Yeah,
there you
that's-
go. Yeah.
Can you really call it an anime?
Well, yeah.
yeah, it's like 4 seasons.
Can you really call it an anime?
Well,
Was
Why wouldn't you?
was the animation done by
It
Ringo?
was done by an
yeah.
American studio.
Oh, it was.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
not an anime then, is it?
Powerhouse Animation.
I mean,
that ain't
I call it
anime.
anime.
Really an
I call
anime?
it. Yeah, I call it anime.
I'm with Manny
It's
on this one. That's
anime
not anime.
inspired?
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
inspired, yes.
Okay, while I would agree with
Anime
you,
inspired, but not really
it's-
anime.
that's like saying whiskey isn't whiskey if it doesn't come out of Ireland, right? Like that's
well, but they do the clarifications. Like Jack Daniels is Tennessee whiskey.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. No,
But,
that's a different kind. But like most alcohols can only be quote unquote made in a certain place. Like I don't pick up on that shit. I don't draw style lines along racial lines. That's just me.
Okay, fair enough.
I kind of feel like it's saying like
but
a white guy
it's more-
can't rap. It's just
Yeah,
bullshit.
man, you can't-
I'm of that
Western-
persuasion, but
Oh, that's not right.
you
That's-
know, yeah.
I don't know.
Like
Cage,
Eminem,
Cage,
son?
Google him. No, forget him. Cage.
The Elmer Fudd
Yeah.
shit. Anyway, go on.
Eminem's about the worst example you can give.
Yeah.
But we'll go with it. And, the people in the chat are saying
LP
it's
is an
anime.
awesome rapper. Holy shit.
Anyway,
Run the jewels.
Chris, do you have any?
I mean, there's just simple ones. I mean, Pokemon has been running
yeah, that's a
forever.
good
Yeah, that does count. Yeah.
I mean, that counts. Years ago, okay, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but there was a Dragon Quest anime back in the early 90s. And I only saw a couple of episodes, but it was really good.
Mm.
Yes,
And
there was.
I mean, that was great. No,
They just came
this
out
was
with another one.
Yeah, they did, but there was one way back. I don't know if it was TMS or Toyo who did it back then,
Oh shit.
right? And it was really good. And here's the thing: back then, here it was called Dragon Warrior. I didn't equate the two, right? Except that the guy had a slime, right? I was like, it's in Dragon Warrior. Like the monsters were the same. And then I started to get it, but that was really good. I always remember that one. I mean, I played. It was a bunch of Dragon Ball Z fighter games back on PS1 that I enjoyed, but those were imports. I go down to Chinatown and get the imports to play those on PS1. But I guess those count because in high school I didn't know what the fuck Dragon Ball Z was. I didn't know what I was watching. I was borrowing shit. It's like, what the fuck is this? Everybody's yelling, throwing energy. What the hell is going on?
Oh man! All right. Anybody else want to throw in some other ones?
Anime
I saw people mentioning
adaptations of
Halo.
video games. There was the actual anime ones. Yes, those were Halo
Yeah, those
Wars.
are-
I can't remember what
I
it
mean-
was called. Halo. It was like a bunch of small.
Yeah, those were good. That was good. Yeah. It was like their
Those are
version of
good.
Animatrix, you know.
It
Yep.
was they did one for Dead Space also. Dead Space Downfall. They did it animated.
Was that any good? I never
That
seen that
one. Wait, there was one that wasn't an anime.
Yeah, I
Reason
don't.
why-
Well,
Yeah,
the hub stories were all 3D animated, but the one that was the prelude to Isaac arriving was animated.
That one is an American one too. That was directed by my former director from Turtles.
Okay.
okay, that's not
Does it
animated.
count?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't
that
I
is-
don't know because like it was an
Damn.
American. It's an American produced production. It was all done by American. The only
Doesn't
difference is
count.
that, you know.
Womp womp.
Racism.
Oh,
Damn.
is it really? Is it really?
Don't
Here's the
count.
thing.
There
This
was no
was-
Japanese
by-
people on
by
staff.
this-
That don't count.
By a lot of the justifications that would mean that every single show is anime.
Mhm.
Because-
all these Korean b-boys aren't really
because every
breakdancers
single
because they're
because
not
all
from
the
the
shows
Bronx.
are all created in
Fuck
Asia.
them.
All right, I got one, and Manny showed this to me. There was a Yeast anime, and I didn't know that Manny showed it to me. And I was like, I didn't know about the game, but we watched the anime.
Mhm.
And then I found out about and those games were old, and you told me about that. But I never knew that shit existed.
Yep, there was I still have that one.
Yeah, but
too.
no,
It was
I'm with Manny on this. It's simple. It's like if it's animation produced in Japan, it's anime. It's not about the style.
well,
it's, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Yeast counts then. That one.
East does count.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely counts. Yeah. You know,
Like,
because think about it like
for-
this, right?
for-
You could have something that doesn't look like traditional anime, but if it's produced in Japan, it is anime. Even if it doesn't, have the big eyes or whatever, the typical things you're used to. You know.
Was,
the reason.
go ahead,
Chris.
Carlos. Go. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Just the whole reason why it's even called anime is because that's the way the way to describe animation from Japan. It's not like people they would have just called it cartoons in that case.
Or
So
because they did
that distinction
mostly did it,
exists for a
they
reason.
mostly did
you
it
know?
they mostly did it for a distinction between that specific content. But as the years have gone, and even back then, things that didn't fit in the children's animation section would get dumped into the anime section. So like you would also find stuff like Fire and Ice in the
come
anime
on now,
section,
that's not anime,
even though it
you know?
wasn't anime. Or
Yeah.
you would find something like the Lord of the Rings, all
Ralph
those
Bakshi
things
stuff.
that,
Yeah.
the Ralph Bakshi and the other guys, Rankin Bask one, you would
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
that in the anime section
Ralph
because they were
Macchio.
trying to. Was that?
Ralph Macchio.
So let me ask you this: if it's not denoting a style, what is even the point of differentiation?
It was.
Well, that's
to
the
be
thing,
honest,
because that's the tricky part. Like some people denote it by styles, others denote it by where it was produced. You know?
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
because
if
there are.
if you're
Hold on, Brett. Go ahead, Brett. Go ahead.
Go,
Yeah.
Brett.
if you're only going by where it was produced, and that doesn't denote any kind of style today, like it used to, but
Yeah.
today, if it doesn't denote any kind of style, it's everything from like Pixar movies to Akira style, right? What's the point of even calling it anime? Isn't that just kind of racist then?
How's that
Yeah.
racist?
Because that's why I say kind of like it's.
But it's not.
really
It's
that you're-
stating a fact. This is animation produced in Japan. It's anime. How is that racist? That's just a fact. You know.
I'm not. I said kind of, and I said I
But
think
it's
like
not.
it's a weird.
I'm not even
Let me
going.
finish,
No,
bro, let me
no,
finish.
because I'm not accepting that premise. Even a little
I'm
bit, I'm
not-
not accepting it. You know.
I'm not-
So if the Japanese make like a Western style game, is that racist?
How's
No,
that racist? What?
Dude, let me fucking finish.
Okay, go.
You paint me into a corner, making me look like an asshole. I'm trying to say it's not racist. It's
I'm
something
saying it's racist. I agree with you.
motherfucker.
Let him finish.
I agree.
Let him finish, guys. Go ahead, Brett.
Jesus fucking crap. Okay, it's a weird delineation that brings up race for no fucking reason. Right? I'm not saying it's racist. I'm saying it's this weird, malleable gray area. Why even bring race into it?
But I'm not bringing up race. I'm bringing up region into
If you're
it.
saying anime is only based on where it's produced, then when you're talking about animation, you may as well say cartoons. Because by saying anime, you're needlessly bringing race into it.
No, I'm not. I'm bringing a region. There's a difference.
Why is
You
bring
say Japanese people.
That's the way it's always been delineated, man. It's always been what is anime, you know? Like the thing. If you want to say maybe we shouldn't call it that anymore, okay, we could have that conversation. I'm just saying that's what it has historically been. That's what I'm saying.
Look, I'm not trying to throw around the "you're racist" thing. That's not what I'm doing at all.
Okay.
All right. All I'm saying is it's this this weird. It's like saying, I like this cartoon, and you're saying it was made by Japanese people.
I didn't say that. I said it was produced in Japan.
Yeah, but you said that that's the only one that counts.
Yeah,
I said that's the only one that has historically been. That's what the anime has been historically been called, and that's what I go with.
No, we're fine with that. Yeah. It's just, but if a studio outside of Japan makes an anime and they say, hey, we're going to call it anime because that's what's cool, you're like, well, that don't count because it wasn't made in Japan.
No, I would have personally counted. You want to count that? That's fine. I'm not going to stop you. I'm just saying I wouldn't count it.
The thing is that it's become a much broader term for adult-oriented animation,
and that's my point. It's no longer divided.
That is what is.
Yeah, if you want to have that conversation, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Dude, no. Okay, I'm making a point here, and the point is, it's by style, because if it's not by style, it turns into something ridiculous. It used to be Eastern animation versus Western animation / Japan versus American animation, and that's when the two styles were different. But when you started making Japanese style cartoons in America and Pixar style cartoons in Japan, that dissolved away because it was no longer a useful term. And it kind of morphed into a term meaning the style. So it now means cartoons in the style that used to be Japanese animation, right? Like that's my whole point, is it kind of has to mean style. No matter how you talk about it, it comes back into, well, we're talking about this kind of style. Even if you say, I call it Japanese style, I call it Japanese cartoons because we're talking about a kind of cartoon that the Japanese used to make, like, sure, but in essence, you're still talking about the style of the animation.
But what if you have an animated work produced in Japan that doesn't look like typical anime? What would you call it then?
Whatever style it's in.
Okay.
No.
All right.
It would to be honest, it would still be considered Japanese animation, or considered or anime.
If it were Pixar style, I call it Pixar style.
Regardless, no, like Lupin the Third, that the one that's in the that sort of Pixar style, it's still considered anime.
You just said that's in that sort of Pixar style. Literally just proved my point, man.
It won't be considered anything but anime just because of what it's based on.
No, when you're talking about in casual conversation, you're not going to say that anime Lupin the Third.
No, you would say CG Lupin the Third. That's what you would say.
You'd say Pixar style.
You would say CG.
I would say CG. I wouldn't say Pixar style. I would say CG.
But they obviously were trying to go for that style because it's because for that they were trying to catch that audience, which it really did.
I would say, depending on the people I'm talking to, if it's a bunch of families, I'm like, well, it's a Pixar. It's like the other movies that your kids watch.
Well, the thing about it in general when it comes to anime, again, like I said, right now it just means adult animation. So a lot of things that wouldn't be considered stylistically anime would fall into that category now.
Is Pokemon anime? Is that what is it?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, that's absolutely
of course.
anime. Yeah,
but that's not adult.
Where's it produced? You know,
it still falls underneath that sort of thing. But at the same time, that's where the problems happen. Where if you notice, like if you ever watch any sort of anime on television or like on streaming services, every single episode nowadays have a warning in front of it for parents as to the content that you're seeing, because there's that idea that, because especially since now the anime it covers so many bases now.
What about animes that have a lot of their filler done in like Korea and shit?
Yeah, that's a sticky point.
But
the thing is,
but
here's the thing. They're still Japanese productions at the end of the day. Because I did think about that, Brett. I was like, hold on a second. But again, this is why I'm removing race out of it. I'm just going, here's the region, here's the nation it was made at.
And that's
I will say, as a person that worked in animation, I will say this to you: the company that I used to work for, who did Ninja Turtles, our animation studio was a company called Dongwoo Animation. They not only provided animation for our shows, but they also provided animation for Japanese shows. Now, would you call Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles anime? Despite it being produced in despite every
Manny, Brett doesn't take production into account. He just takes style into account.
So then that means that I made an anime show.
Yeah, that's fine. You worked on an anime style show.
Oh no, you're adding
It wasn't anime style.
The word style in casual conversation, the word style is almost always implied in what we're talking about. Very few people are going to talk about like, oh, it was produced here. Like, okay, but what kind of, if you're like, it's a cartoon, like, well, what kind of cartoon? One that was produced in Taiwan, like, what? That's not the first thing you're going to tell me. You're going to be like, it's kind of Pixar style, or it's like, it's an anime.
But Brett, when you say it's anime style, you are explicitly or implicitly implying the people that it's a Japanese type show.
Japanese style. Yeah, not Japanese produced.
But
you're going to talk about the visual style.
But Japanese is in the whole thing. And what I want to mention is it's I don't find any issues with these distinctions because at first we had like K-pop is like a type of music that's Korean, but is it racist to call it K-pop?
No, but you just said it's a type of music, not it's music produced in Korea. That's exactly my point. Like, I understand what you guys are saying, but I feel like it's unnecessarily pedantic in casual conversation, right? Like when we're talking, like you just said, K-pop style. The first thing you're going to try and do is basically explain the whole thing, and you're going to try and talk about the style, what kind it is, right? Like if you make country style music, and it sounds like country style music, but it was made in Canada, is it still country music? Sure.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's like Snow. Remember, he made reggae, but he was Canadian.
But the thing with that is, you're talking about the online force of what sells country. When Shania Twain is Canadian, but she's a country singer because she's the biggest thing out there. When you're the top dog, you get to define the genre. If anime was ever the dominant animation medium for Americans and Westerners, then anime wouldn't have existed. It would have just been cartoons that were Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, but if we had that style over here, it would have never had a name like anime, because we would have had the need to make the distinction between Eastern and Western style animation.
But we make the distinction because there's differences. There's a dichotomy between. It's
not only stylistic differences.
It's voice acting. It's humor. It's a lot of stuff.
That's all a style, man. Like the humor of the humor is the style of the writing, and the voice acting is the style of it's the kind of things that you use. It's saying where something was produced. Like I said, I have no better way to put it. Sounds unnecessarily pedantic. Nobody talks about the region of things that they consume. They don't. They talk about the style of it.
That is true.
Yeah, but in this case, you kind of have to. But we're not going to see any, we're going to
go in circles.
Yeah, we're just going in circles right now, so we don't need to go on any further. All right, people, we're done. Good show. Does anyone have anything to plug?
Adam?
Tomorrow, myself, Richard Bailey Jr., and Carlos Romero, I'll be covering the episode 6 of The Last of Us over at Coalition Gaming, and of course, the coalition.com mothership. So if you're interested in that. What?
How many episodes are left?
Well, 3 after this one. There's only 9 episodes altogether, so it's coming to an end. I watched some of this earlier, and then I stopped, but I'll get back into it. Forward to that. So, yeah, that'll be for tomorrow.
Good stuff,
man.
Oh,
yes.
All right, we're done here, people. So make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Join the Discord where the conversations and the rumors are always popping. You can find us on any podcast app on the planet by searching for Throwdown Show. That's 2 words, Throwdown Show. Also visit throwdownshow.com to listen to previous episodes. And if you're watching us on YouTube and enjoyed the content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when our premieres go live. Links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and I am still live, and I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Yo, man, why couldn't they call the British invasion just the rock and roll invasion?
Adam Vale.
Have a good week.
Brett Murdoch.
I am neither a lawyer nor politician.
And Brian Manjoma.
So then, how would you call an anime made in China?
I'm not touching that one.
Chai Mei. We know this. We know this.
All right, people. We'll see you on Thursday before we get canceled. Later.
Peace.
Laters.
Laters.
Oh, man.